AITA for refusing to clean up after a wedding. I was recently a groomsman at a destination wedding. First, I want to say I still love the couple, have no hard feelings, and overall had a great time. I'm just curious how others would view this situation. We were asked to be groomsmen about 5 months ago. I hosted the 4-day bachelor party at a family lake house where everyone flew in from out of state. I covered the groom's food, and there were no lodging or entertainment costs. The wedding was at a country club. My wife and I spent over $3,000 between flights, rental car, outfits, lodging, golf, gifts, and other expenses. It required a 5-hour flight and a 3-hour drive. We were told to arrive Thursday because the Airbnb and there were weekend activities planned. The groom didn't arrive until 11:30 p.m., so everyone just sat around. The Airbnb had no AC and was 82 inside. 2 days before the wedding, we got a text saying the groomsmen were expected to set up the reception at 10 a.m. on the wedding day. We helped, but it meant carrying roughly 200-pound tables, 160 chairs. The groom stayed back at the Airbnb, which I understand, but I couldn't help wondering why a $30,000 plus wedding didn't hire the rental company to do setup. We finished around 11:30 a.m., had no lunch, and only an hour to get ready for photos. We asked who was tearing everything down after the wedding. The groom said he'd tell the coordinator we couldn't do it, or that family could handle it the next day. An hour before the ceremony, the coordinator emphasized that everything had to be cleaned up that night. The groom remembered the venue had told them that during the tour, we told him not to worry and to enjoy getting married. We stepped aside and agreed that we weren't moving heavy tables after drinking and that we had to wake up at 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. to make it to the airport on time. If the country club bills the bride's dad who owns 6+ houses, then so be it. The wedding was great. We danced, celebrated, and had fun. At the end of the night, I wanted to head back with my pregnant wife, who had pushed herself to stay until the end. I was drunk, but not wasted, according to my wife. Instead, the groom's mom asked me to help because I was young and able-bodied. The groomsmen asked why I wasn't helping. I sarcastically and loudly replied that I was too drunk to be carrying 200-pound tables and that my kid at home deserved a dad who didn't get hurt. I tried moving a table anyway, it dropped hard, and the other guys got mad, yelled at me to just leave. One said I was being a bad friend for not doing what needed to be done. I've only met these guys once and won't see them again. I felt bad afterward. I also come from a culture where the wedding party are treated as honored guests, not unpaid labor. If we'd been told up front that setup and teardown were expected, then that would be fine, or I would even help pay for the cleanup crew. These guys don't have kids or wives, so maybe I'd be more flexible in a different life stage. I'll see the groom in a couple of months, and I expect everything will be fine. I'm wondering whether my behavior was unreasonable, and what you would have done. Next story. AITA for telling my sister to grow up and get over what our dad wants to do. My sister and I lost our mom when we were kids. She passed away while we were in middle school, and our dad was a single parent until he started dating again when we were both in college. Our mom has a gravesite, and for years our dad had purchased the plot next to hers so he could be buried beside her when he died. That is no longer the plan. He remarried, and although his wife is a nice woman, my sister and I have never been particularly close to her. What I do know is that my dad loves her very much. My sister believes he should have never remarried. Our dad recently had a health scare, which made him rethink what he wants after he dies. He now wants to be cremated instead of being buried next to our mother. Personally, I don't care what he decides. It's his choice. My sister, however, did not take it well. He told us over dinner, and the two of them got into a huge argument about it. Since then, my sister has been giving him the silent treatment and has tried to get me to tell him he's making the wrong decision. That led to an argument between us. I told her to grow up and accept that it's his decision. She called me a heartless dick and accused me of not defending our late mother. I told her it's been over 20 years, and she needs to get the fuck over it. Next story. AITA for refusing to write a recommendation for my former intern after what they did. I supervise interns at a small marketing company. Last summer, I mentored a college student for about 3 months. I spent a lot of extra time helping him improve because he was eager to learn. And by the end of the internship, I thought we'd ended on good terms. A few weeks after the internship ended, another coworker sent me a screenshot of a local professional networking group. The former intern had posted a long rant about our company. Some of his complaints were fair, but he also claimed that I took credit for his ideas and that I deliberately gave him busy work so I would look better. Neither of those things happened. In fact, I had emails showing I'd credited him during meetings and had pushed management to let him work on bigger projects. I decided not to respond publicly because I didn't want to create drama. About 6 months later, he emailed me saying he was applying for graduate programs and asked if I'd write him a strong recommendation letter. He said he had always appreciated my mentorship and hoped I'd put the past behind us. I replied that I didn't think I was the right person to recommend him and wished him the best with his applications. He then sent another email saying I was being unprofessional by letting personal feelings interfere with his future. A mutual acquaintance also reached out and said I should either write the letter or at least do him the courtesy of explaining everything over a phone call. I don't think I owe anyone a recommendation, especially when I no longer feel I can honestly endorse them. Now it's your turn to decide. Was the original poster in the wrong? Vote NTA, YTA, ESH, or NAH, and tell us why in the comments.